Namaste, yogis. Welcome back. An hour of yin and yang. Casey will be demonstrating for me again today. So let's get started. We'll start off laying on our backs. So if you just want to find a comfortable shape, lying flat on the back. And what that means is basically as long as the spine is on the mat, no props or anything underneath it quite yet. What you do with your arms and your legs is totally up to you. I will leave a few moments for you to kind of sort that out within your body. You could have your arms fall down the sides, palms face up. You could cactus arm. You could rest one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, both hands on your hips, right? There's so many different options. So I'm just going to allow you the first few moments to kind of play around with different variations within the legs, the arms. And what I want you to really be looking for is a place where you don't have to necessarily meditate on any kinks, aches, pains, tightness, resistance, but rather find a place where your body from head to toe feels fully supported by the earth. You should have to exert zero energy to lie here. So once you've found your shape, try to just lay there as you are, closing the eyes, watching the breath. So that fidgeting, that time you took in the beginning is kind of like slowly switching gears. Just like everything in life, you never want to just come to a slamming halt, but you're working your way in to stillness, working your way into every inhale and every exhale. And then together we'll just begin to deepen the breath by first letting go of a nice long exhale. And then take a deep inhale through the nose. Send that breath down the back of your spine to the hook of your tailbone. Feel the crown of your head almost lengthen away from that. And then open up your mouth. Take another long, slow, deep inhale through the nose, this time holding at the very top. Unless you're pregnant, you always want to keep breathing. And then open up your mouth. One more deep inhale through the nose. Use that to lengthen the spine on the mat. Hold. And then this time, keeping the lips sealed, just slowly exhale out the nose. And then just continue to breathe in and out your nose as slowly and as deeply as you can. Just finding what is called samavritihi, which means a balanced breath, where every inhale and every exhale, they match in length, duration, and quality. But it should not be forced. Just very mindful, deep breaths. And then if you have something like Ujjayi Pranayama in your practice, feel free to tap into it. But also know that if at any point throughout the class, focusing on breathing begins to stress you out, it's having the opposite effect that it should be having, right? So just long, slow, deep breaths. is all I really ask. And then if you're with me, we'll begin to kind of wiggle the toes, the fingers. Roll out your wrists, maybe your ankles as you slide your legs long to the front of the mat if they're not already there. And as you stretch your arms up over your head, zip your legs together, point through the toes, take a deep breath in, let the lower back even lift up off the mat. And then as you exhale, slowly bend the knees, hug them into your chest. Go ahead and draw little circles in one direction, kind of massaging, waking up the lower back. And then switch, even it out. And then coming to center, go ahead and interlace your hands behind your head. Pull the elbows apart. So rather than up to the ceiling, pull them apart. Feel the shoulder blades get broad on the yoga mat. And then knit the front ribs in so the spine between them isn't lifting up off the mat. Pull your lower belly to the mat so your lower back is pressing into the earth. So keep your lower back in the mat, but I want you to just tap your toes to the mat behind your butt. Keep the belly pulling in so your lower back stays down. And then on an exhale, you're going to lift your knees and lift your shoulders, crunch your elbows to touch your knees. Inhale, toes tap, shoulders lower. And exhale, elbows to knees. Inhale, open. And exhale, close. So just go back and forth like this on your own. Make that connection between the elbows and knees. Tapping the toes, allowing the shoulders to lower, but never letting the lower back lift up off the mat. If you want an extra challenge, rather than tapping your toes to the mat, you could straighten the legs out and hover the feet about an inch or two from the ground. That I'm going to leave up to you. Depends on how far you want to take it. But remember, lower back should always stay in the mat, even as the legs extend straight out in front of you. So if the lower back ever lifts, you need to maybe lift your legs a little higher. Don't extend them so low. Try not to do the crunches in your face. Now let's meet elbows to knees. Pull the belly tight. Now you're going to slowly extend your right leg out. Hover at a comfortable distance from the ground. Flex the foot. Try to keep that left elbow touching the knee. Breathe. Now keep the shoulders up. You pull your elbows apart and then twist right elbow to the left knee. And then come back to center and bring your left elbow back to the left knee. Slowly pull the right knee to the right elbow, curling back into that tight little ball. Shoot the left leg out, hover at a comfortable distance. Keep pushing your right elbow and knee together. Now keep the shoulders up, but pull your elbows apart. And then exhale, left elbow to that right knee. Breathe, inhale, come to center. Exhale, right elbow pins to the right knee. And then we pull the left knee in. That's just one set, so we have like 20 more to do. Kidding. Shoot the right leg out. We'll just do one more. Pull the elbows apart without letting your shoulders drop. Exhale, twist right elbow to the left knee. Inhale, come to center. Exhale, left elbow to left knee, and then draw the right knee in. Slowly extend the left leg out. Open the elbows up. Exhale, twist left elbow to right knee. Inhale, center, right elbow pins to that right knee, pull the left knee in. Now squeeze, curl your hips, your shoulders up off the ground a little more. And then exhale, let it go. Plant your feet, heels in line with your sit bones. All 10 toes point straight forward or slightly turn in. Plant your palms next to your hips. And then with an inhale, I want you to pull your knees forward as you imagine you're dragging your heels back, and that'll naturally lift your hips up. Pressing the palms or the karate chopping the pinky edge of your hands into the mat. Just rolling your arm bones underneath you. You never want to tuck the shoulder blades under the pose. Knit the front ribs in. Spin the inner thighs down without letting the knees knock in. Think of tucking your tailbone to the space between the calves as you hug your outer hips in. And then inhale, lift up a little higher within the hips. Exhale, let it all go. Hug the knees into the chest, grab onto the backs of your thighs. Let's begin to rock up and down, backwards and forwards. Find the momentum you need to come to downward dog. So you'll cross one shin in front of the other, plant your hands, step back, maybe jump back, get there however you need. Once you do get there, maybe you drift to a high plank to make sure your hands and feet are the correct distance apart. You can pedal out the feet, come up and down on your toes. Just take a few moments. Again, settling in. And then eventually, stillness is the goal. So the feet will rest, hips distance apart. Heels spin back and disappear slightly behind the toes. And then even if you have to bend the knees a lot, I want you to try and lift the hip creases straight up towards the sky. Really lengthening and releasing the lower back. If you feel pinching in the lower back, think of tucking your tailbone to the wall that you're looking at, just slightly. Knit the front ribs and even the sternum bone in so you're not dumping or swaying in the upper back. You want to keep the length in the spine, the height of your hips, and just play with the pushing the tops of your thighs straight back to help anchor the heels down. And then keeping the head and neck relaxed, we'll just consciously think about the hands. Can you lift just your fingertips up off the mat? You want to ground down through the whole circumference of your palm. So it's almost like a suction cup. The center of your palm actually kind of lifts as the outer edges root down. And then as you spread your fingers wide, you fan them into the mat, root each knuckle, ending with your fingertips. Now hug your shoulder blades to the outer rib cage. That's called protraction. It should also help wrap your triceps back. And then I want you to think of lifting your forearms forward against that. And then with an inhale, we will come forward, high plank or top of a push-up. Heels push back, thigh bones firm up to the ceiling. Unless you need to drop to the knees for modification, use them. Hips stay level with the shoulder blades, and you add the slightest tuck to your tailbone, pull your belly in. With your wrists, elbows, shoulders stacked, you want to push down so much into your hands that the natural reaction is your chest, the sternum bone actually lifts away from the ground, thinking a little bit of a cat pose within the upper back, but then at the same time gluing those shoulder blades down the back so they don't actually dome out. They flatten out. Crown of the head lengthens forward. Breathe. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, lift through the hips, up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward, high plank. And exhale, downward dog, lift your hips. And then inhale, roll forward like a wave. And exhale, pulling back. Now let's inhale to high plank. If you need to drop to the knees, use them. I want you to lean your shoulders forward, jet them out over the fingertips. With an exhale, slowly just bend your arms to halfway. Try not to let your hips or shoulders go lower than your elbows as they hug straight back. Thighs are firm, belly is tight, you're still breathing. And then gently release all the way to the mat. No push-up today. Rest the center of your forehead down, pressing the tops of the feet down. I want you to actually reach your arms back towards your feet, palms face your hips. So that's the thumbs that are down in the mat. Now flexing both feet, curl your heels towards your butt. Bend the knees, pull the heels to the butt. Try not to let the knees lift. Instead, push the knees down. Think of tucking your tailbone down, pulling the lower belly tight. Now begin to pull the fingers back to lift the head, the chunk of your chest up. And then press your heels up through the ceiling, maybe lifting the knees up a little more. And then karate chop the pinkies up towards the ceiling, getting the arms a little higher. So it's basically the bridge pose we did a moment ago, but obviously reversed. And we would normally take this grabbing onto the ankles, but I don't want you to do that. Just use the muscles within the back of your body. Feel the heat building. Take a deep inhale. Lift everything a little more. And then exhale, set everything down. Plant your hands next to your lower rib cage or waistline. And then inhale, cobra or up dog, peeling the spine up just as far as comfortable. And as you're ready, exhale, tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. From downward dog, we'll go through a vinyasa, breath per movement, back bend of your choice. Inhale, come forward, high plank. As you lean forward, exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. Now from downward dog, let's inhale the right leg to the sky. Flex through the heels, square off through the hips, so that outer right hip rotates down to the mat, leveling out. And then with an exhale, pull the knee to your right elbow. Shoulders over wrists, glancing out, belly in. Now take the knee to your left elbow. Pause, slide that knee down towards your left wrist. Pull it back up to your left elbow. Bring it back to the right elbow. And then inhale, stretch it up and back. And exhale, pull the knee to your right elbow. Take it to your left elbow. Slide it down to the wrist, pull it back up the arm, and then take it to your right. Inhale, stretch it up and back. So on your own like this, to the right, sliding it to the left elbow, sliding up and down that arm before you go back to the right elbow to lift it up to the sky. Right? So now with me guiding you through it, allowing your practice to become mindful. Oftentimes as students, we've become so dependent on listening to what the instructor is telling us to do. So just try to make that connection, follow your breath. We'll do maybe one more set wherever you're at. Breathe. We'll meet with the leg lifting up and back, bend the knee and open the hip, find a little stretch, a little release. Wrap that outer right shoulder and rib cage down towards the earth. Pull the belly to the spine. And then take an inhale, stretch a bit more. Exhale, knee to chest, shoulders land at your wrists. You look forward so you can step next to the right thumb. Cupping the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra up dog in your shoulders, but think a high plank in that back leg. Pull your belly to the spine like we do in the core work, and then slowly fly your arms back. Palms face the earth or each other. Left heel pushes back, left thigh bone lifts up. Notice if that right hip kind of pops out. You want to hook your right sit bone towards your inner right thigh. Make sure your front knee does stack at the center of your ankle. Pull the lower belly towards your spine. Draw the shoulders away from the ears as the tips of your ears and the crown of the head lengthen forward. And then with an inhale, we'll reach the arms forward, palms face each other. Wrap the triceps down towards the mat. Even here, you're protracting those shoulders. Try to hug them to the outer ribs. And then reach your arms out of your waist to grow longer. Maybe lift them a little higher. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Pause. Pull your front leg straight or straight-ish. Hug that outer right hip back. All you really need to do is push all the weight into the middle of your right foot. And by nature, the right hamstring or the back of that right leg is going to lift up towards your sit bone. Pull the belly to the spine. Allow your forehead to fall towards the shin. The back heel doesn't need to touch the ground, but you're anchoring it towards the mat, just like we do in downward dog. Breathe. Now slowly rebend your front knee. Cup the earth with the fingertips, cobra up dog into your shoulders, pull the belly to the spine. Hug that right hip back. Now I want you to lean more weight into that front foot and your fingertips. Keep leaning forward. You're going to pull the left knee into the chest and lift your left heel to the butt so that foot doesn't touch the ground. Try to keep your right knee as deeply bent as you can. Even if that means the right knee shadows over your toes at this point, our ankle is meant to flex, so allow it to do its job. And then slowly step that left foot back to where it came from. Exhale, left knee to chest, heel to butt. Keep a deep bend in your standing leg. And then step it back. So you can stick with that if you want to go a little further. Peel the chest up, reach your arms back. Palms face the earth or each other. Pull the belly tight. Now again, lean so far forward that you can pull the left knee to the chest, heel to butt. Keep the right knee bent. And then step it back. Oh, we got one more. Exhale, knee to chest. Keep the right knee bent. Step it back. And then inhale, crescent pose, rise up. Bend the back knee so the left heel can pull forward, stack it with the ball mount of your foot. Tuck your tailbone down so the front of your pelvis lifts, front ribs pull in. Arms are straight and strong, wrapping the triceps forward. If that upward reach allows your glans to lift up, maybe the palms even kiss, take a deep inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, step your right foot back, chaturanga is your exit. Inhale, cobra or up dog, and exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, let's inhale the left leg to the sky. Leading with your inner thigh is gonna help keep that outer hip square to the mat. Now with an exhale, you pull the knee to your left elbow, pause, take it to your right elbow. Slide it down towards the wrist, pull it back up to the right elbow, and then take it to the left. Inhale, stretch it up and back. Exhale to the left elbow. Take it over to the right. Inhale, slide it down to the wrist. Exhale, pull it up the arm, and then take it over to the left. Inhale, stretch it high. On your own, breath per movement. You know how this goes, so follow your breath. We have maybe one more set, unless you're already just hanging out in downward dog, which is cool too. We'll meet with the leg up, bend the knee and open the hip up, relax the head and neck, hug those front ribs in, wrap that left shoulder down. Take an inhale, stretch a bit more, exhale, knee to chest, looking forward, step next to your left thumb. Think cobra up dog in your shoulders, high plank in your back leg as you fly your arms back like wings, palms face the earth or each other. Right leg is extremely active, nice 90-degree angle in that front leg, and make sure you're not just resting your torso on the thigh. Pull the belly and front ribs away from it. Draw the shoulders down the back as the crown of the head lengthens forward. And then with an inhale, we'll reach forward. Palms face each other. Eventually they might shine up as if you can begin to externally rotate your arms in the shoulder socket. Wrap the shoulder blades out, tug the triceps down, maybe extend from your waist to the fingertips to grow longer, and that might give you the ability to reach higher. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands down. Pull the front leg straight-ish. Hug the outer left hip crease back. Squeeze the inner thighs a little closer together, rolling the torso down your thigh. It's belly to thigh, chest to knee. Eventually, chin, nose, and forehead will hit the shin. And if you flexed your left foot up, eventually you may even be able to touch your big toe to the crown of your head. I've seen it only in a very few select human beings, so don't be upset if you can't do that. Breathe. Now slowly rebend your front knee. Cup the earth with the fingertips of your hands. Think cobra up dog in your shoulders. Engage your core. Pull the front body in. So you're going to keep that left knee bent. Shift more weight into the hands and your front foot. Pull the right knee into your chest, right heel to the butt. Hovering the foot, left knee stays bent. Gently set those right toes way back. And then exhale, knee to chest, heel to butt. Step the foot back. So remember, option to stay there. If you want the harder option, you reach your arms back like wings, pull the belly tight, and then exhale, knee to chest, heel to butt. Left leg stays bent. Slowly step it back. We've got one more. Exhale, pull it in, curl tight. Inhale, step it back. And then rise, crescent pose. Bend the back knee as much as you need to. Get away from the idea that your back leg has to be straight. Neutralize your pelvis. That comes first and foremost. And then think side splits in those legs. Inner thighs work away from each other, but at the same time, you want to imagine dragging your feet closer together. The heavier the hips get, the lighter the spine should eject up towards the ceiling. The arms get longer by the spine growing taller. Maybe even the glance lifts. Maybe your palms kiss. Take an inhale. Exhale, hands down. Step back. Chaturanga, lower slow. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. From downward dog, let's inhale, come forward, high plank. Pull the belly tight, and we're gonna go for a little adventure. Lift your right foot about an inch up off the ground. Pull your right knee to the back of your right arm as high up into the armpit as you can get it. Turn your left heel down like you would for Warrior Two. So can you get that right knee higher, higher, higher? And then slowly reach your left arm up towards the sky. Getting into those same oblique muscles that we did in the very beginning with our core work. Try and keep the right foot away from the mat. If you have to put the knee down, use it, but ideally you hover it. Press into the right palm, roll the right shoulder blade down the back. Take an inhale. Exhale, left hand down, right leg kicks up and back, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, open your hip. And then with an exhale, pull the knee to your chest, step in between the hands, turn the back heel down for Warrior Two, and then lead with the left arm, come on up. So heel to heel or heel to arch. Front knee stacked to the front ankle, push the knee out to the right so you can see your big toe. Tuck your tailbone down, pull the lower belly in, front ribs knit in. Extending the arms apart. Now you're going to take your right hand and just place it on the back of your head like you would for crunches. Pull that right elbow out so it's not coming forward the direction of your face, it's actually pulling forward. Pull the belly in. Now you're going to pull the tip of your right elbow as far forward as it'll go. And then can you pin your right elbow to the front of that right knee, take your top arm up and overhead. Pushing your elbow into your knee like an oblique crunch. So that should actually make that right rib and hip kind of cinch together, front body pulls in. Ground down to the knife edge of your back foot as that top hand extends up and over. The pinky begins to rotate down towards the mat as your thumb maybe goes up towards the ceiling. Breathe in and out your nose. So can you keep that oblique work you've created? Pull the belly tight, reach your right arm forward. Oh, without extending too much, keep that core engaged. And then looking down, push down, reverse warrior, fan the arms back. Left hand to left leg, right arm reaches up. Now releasing those oblique muscles. Right leg works its way forward. Right hip, you want it to jump up. And that's where the extension back comes from. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to the mat. Step back, chaturanga, lower slow. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. So from downward dog, let's inhale to high plank. Tighten up the lower belly. You're going to lift your left foot about an inch up off the ground. Now pull the knee as high up into your left armpit as you can get it. And really more the back of your arm rather than the outer arm. Turn your right heel down, ground down fully through that foot as you reach your right arm up. Try and keep that left knee high, high, high. Left foot up off the ground unless you need to set the shin down. Push into the left palm, roll the left shoulder blade down the back. Breathe in and out your nose. Extend to those top fingertips. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, right hand down. Kick your left leg up and back, three-legged dog. Bend the knee, open your hip. Relax the head and neck. Take an inhale, stretch. Exhale, knee to chest, look forward to step forward. Back heel turns down, right arm leads, warrior two, come on up. So set up the feet, heel to heel or heel to arch. Make sure the back toes angle slightly forward. Whether you have that deep 90-degree angle in the front leg is not so much as important as making sure the front knee stacks with the ankle. But you want to be as close to parallel with the thigh to the mat as you can. Tailbone draws down, front ribs hug in. Right shoulder and right rib cage pull back to level out with the left. Now you're going to take your left hand and just place it on the back of your head. Pull your left elbow forward the same direction as your knee. And then keep pulling it forward, leaning forward, freezing from the hips, and then pin your elbow to the knee, crunching into those obliques. Front ribs knit in, top arm goes up and overhead, palm facing the mat. And don't rest on your leg. I know it's very tempting, but rather than resting, push your elbow to your knee. Ground down to the knife edge of your back foot. Pull your belly tight. So remember, we're engaging the core rather than just resting on that leg, because now I'm going to ask you to maybe extend that left arm forward. Use those obliques to help support the spine as you extend. Soften the face. Then without making a face, inhale, reverse warrior, fan it back, unless it's a face of relief. Reach that left arm up comes first, backwards will come. Remember, when the left leg goes forward and you lift the left hip up off the top of your thigh, think of curling your tailbone towards that front heel. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, windmill the hands down, step back, lower slow, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or up dog. And exhale, downward dog. So from downward dog, let's just inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or jump to the front of the mat. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, fold in. With the same flat back, inhale, Tadasana. Circle your arms up, maybe look up. Exhale, pull the hands to heart center. So a little late in the game, but Surya Namaskar A. Inhale, circle the arms to the sky, Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha or halfway. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. And exhale, Adho Mukha. Let's keep it moving. Inhale, bend the knees, look forward. Exhale, walk or spring to the front of the mat. Inhale, glance out. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, reverse swan dive your arms to the sky. Exhale, pull the hands through heart center. Inhale, Tadasana, circle the arms for the sun. Exhale, bow forward towards the earth. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, Chaturanga. Finish this one off on your own and then do one more after it at your own pace. And we will meet in your next downward dog. Remember, I can't see you anyway, so if you just decide not to do this last one, that's okay too. I mean, you might just be sitting on the couch listening to me talk, because so many people have always asked me if I could just come home and talk them to sleep. So, you know, wherever you're at. Last few breaths as we work our way to downward dog. So from downward dog, let's just take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Hold this breath at the very top, allowing us to kind of be like a reset button. Open up the mouth, audibly let it go. One more, deep inhale through the nose to hold. This time you're going to paddle your lips together like a horse. And then go back to breathing in and out your nose. And then as you're ready, let's go ahead and just step the right foot in between the hands. Drop the back knee, top of the foot to the mat. Slide that leg back a good inch, maybe even 2 or 3. Now look at your front foot. I just want you to walk the foot to your left enough that the pinky-toed edge of your right foot lines up with the middle of your mat. Flex the foot. Now you're going to slowly begin to drop your right knee out to the right. You may have to slide your right heel down towards the pubic bone. I want you to make sure that that right shin and knee do hit the ground, but I also want to make sure that that heel lines up more with the pubic bone, belly button, or sternum bone. So if your right hip is way up off the ground, hovering in the air, that means it's not grounded. So I don't want you to sit on a pillow, a bolster, a block. And then if you have 2 blocks at home handy, you can begin to walk them back, kind of framing your hips and pushing into your hands. Unless you want to keep the hands in front of your shin. We're going to stay upright today for what is called swan pose. So releasing and opening that hip joint, allowing the muscles in that outer hip to relax. But also today adding in a back bend. So a compression within the lumbar spine and the sacrum. If you feel any sharp shooting pains in your lower back, you need to come forward with your hands so you're not doing so much of an extreme arch. You could also bring your forearms to the blocks in front of you, so you're still keeping the chest lifted. It's just not as an extreme back bend Outer left hip does wrap forward, so the torso, the hips stay square. And then you're just going to try to sit with this and breathe for a bit. It's funny, the dynamics, how they change, right? Pigeon pose or sleeping swan, as we know it in yin, where we fold forward. A lot of people really enjoy that pose. I know some people that could even fall asleep in that pose, Casey probably being one of them. But when we change the dynamic and we add this back bend, it makes things a lot more intense. A lot of students will always come up to me. I've had students reach out to me over the course of this and say that this pose gets them, in the sense that it evokes a lot within them. They cry, they struggle, they're cursing at me in their head. Lots of things happen. So whatever it is, allow it to happen. The only thing you want to stay away from, again, is physical pain, as I've said in all my other classes. But the discomfort and sensations that are less than physical pain is what we're aiming for. And with the torso upright beyond that compression within the lumbar spine, we actually get a bigger stress on the front of the left hip, within the left hip flexor, where the quadricep connects in at the top of the femur bone, and the one quad muscle that does connect at the top of the pelvic bone. Deepen the breath. The longer you sit here, generally, the more intense the sensation becomes. And the more intense it gets, we have this tendency to hold our breath when we're faced with things that we don't necessarily want to face. The first sign of resistance is holding the breath. And then holding the breath causes muscles to tense and tighten, and it's kind of a chain reaction. So deepen the breath, scan the body, remind yourself to soften as many muscles as you consciously can. And just remind yourself that sooner always comes before later. So gently place your hands under the shoulders in front of that right shin and foot. Plant into the palms. Tuck your back toes. Lift the back knee up off the ground. That's going to allow you to pull your lower belly in to take that right leg back. Downward dog. Pedal out the feet. I like to lift that leg and circle my knee around, so I circle the hip joint. You could even shake out the leg, like a dog getting an itch in the right spot, right? Whatever feels right. Just get some blood flowing. Then as you're ready, setting the right foot down, step the left foot forward. Drop the back knee, top of the foot down, slide that leg back a good inch or two or three. Now remember, you're going to walk the left foot to your right, but just enough that the pinky-toed edge or the outer edge of the foot lines up with the dead center of your mat. Flexing the foot as you drop your knee out. So this is a very extreme variation of pigeon pose. If the foot walks to the right under the shoulder, it's not as an extreme rotation for the femur within the hip joint. But most important is that the left shin and knee are down and that your left hip touches down. So if your heel has to slide towards the pubic bone or under the belly button, let it. I'm more interested in that knee, again, pointing away from your body rather than shooting straight forward from your hip. And also know that your body can be very different side to side. So you may need a prop under one that you didn't need in the other. And then walking your hands as far back as is comfortable. Remember, we're trying to stress the lower back, not break it or anything weird. So compressing, feeling a compression within the lower back is what I'm going for. The spine is as tall as possible over the shoulder or over the hips. But remember, if you have to put elbows on blocks in front of you, keeping the chest as upright as possible. Back toes at this point should be untucked. Right hip is wrapping forward. Closing the eyes and just scanning the body. Notice anything that is resisting it. I know for me, the glute muscles tend to fire up because in our back bends, it is the back body, our glutes, our hamstrings that actually get us into those poses. So allow your glutes to actually be soft. If anything's engaging, it's the lower belly, just pulling to the spine just enough that it gives it enough space that you're not bone on bone within the vertebrae. Shoulders drop away from the ears. But if that creates a lot of tightness within the muscles there, it's actually okay to press into the palms and allow your shoulders to kind of shrug up to the ears. That's going to put a stress within the rotator cuff of the shoulder. And that is a joint, so that is something that we can learn how to stress within the yin practice. With all the little muscles within your face, the corners of your eyes, the space between your eyebrows. Notice all the muscles within the jaw that are not only in the front side, that line just in front of your ear, but also notice the little muscles behind your ear. I find it helps to slightly separate the teeth. And sometimes I like to even run my tongue along the front edge of my teeth, just to make sure everything really softens and releases before the tongue settles back down into the bottom chamber of the jaw. You breathe in and out your nose. Allowing every inhale to maybe become a little bit longer than your last breath. So maybe that means you count it out. And even if you can get every inhale to be half a second longer than the last breath, that is huge. And it's not that you're actually necessarily taking deeper breaths. You're just learning how to draw the moment out, so to speak. Although it may seem like a contradiction, but the longer and deeper you can get each breath to be, the quicker time actually passes within the pose. So counting out the breath if it helps. If you're more of a visual type of person, I like to imagine or visualize the lungs being like a water balloon. If you've ever watched a balloon fill up with water, the water, as it rushes down to the very top, it actually spills down the sides into the very bottom first. The more water that comes in, it slowly begins to fill. filling up the sides until ultimately it gets so full that it actually pushes some water back out. So we want to do the same thing with the lungs. We breathe into the very bottom chambers of our lungs. And as the air rises, filling out to every inch in every direction, eventually it fills all the way into the brim of the throat. And that's what actually allows us to begin our exhale. The chest becomes heavy, the ribs pull in, and the last is the belly pulls in and up to press out the last bits of air. So even the direction of our breath is that balance of opposites. We inhale filling from the bottom to the top, and we exhale from the top to the bottom. Take one more deep breath. Maybe even an audible exhale. And then planting your hands shoulders distance apart in front of that left shin. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee so you can pull your belly in to take the left leg back. Pedal out the feet, circle out the knee, shake out the leg, maybe a little bit of all of that. Do what you feel is necessary. Then as you're ready, go ahead and drop to the knees. You could cross an ankle over the other, sit back behind your feet, or sit your hips to one side and swing your legs out in front of you. Once your legs are out in front of you, bring your legs into Baddha Konasana. So soles of the feet touch, and they pull towards the groin, but by no means do they have to get there. You can keep your legs further out, creating more of a diamond shape. And then grabbing onto the ankles, I want you to avoid the toes. Round out your spine. Think of tucking your chin. Think of bringing your forehead to your pubic bone without rolling onto the tailbone of the lower back. Push the lumbar spine out by pulling the belly in, bringing the forehead closer to the pubic bone. And then once you can't get any more round, slowly drop your forehead towards the feet. You might put blocks in front of your toes, on top of your feet, inside of your feet, wherever you need them is really up to you. Your arms can be in front, rounding and shrugging the shoulders. If it's more comfortable, you can wrap your arms down and back over the legs. I sometimes, depending on the distance between my feet and my groin, string my arms inside and underneath the calves. But then just close the eyes. Connect in with your breath. And as you sit here with your eyes closed, resist the fidgeting, the movement. Remind yourself that it's not only okay to get still, but it's actually very much a necessity. Just as important as it is to find that movement, the intensity of building strength and endurance like we do in the yang portion of class. It's equally as important, if not even a little bit more so, in the sense that the yang is very much how we go about our day-to-day life. If you really think about it, you're almost always in this state of going from one thing to the next. So just allowing yourself to get still, get quiet. sitting with yourself, thoughts, emotions. It's like putting yourself underneath a microscope, looking at all the details that make up the bigger picture. Giving ourselves the time to really pinpoint whether it's things we want to change or address, areas in life where we need to make shifts, maybe growth that we've been resisting. But getting still not only allows ourselves the time to observe it, but then begin to maybe formulate a means by which we can address it. Last few breaths. So remember, keeping the head and neck very heavy. On an exhale, so you can use the belly pulling in to support the spine. Just begin to roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. As the spine lifts, the hands will naturally begin to walk back. The head and neck should be very last to come up. Once you're up, you'll take your hands to the outer knees and close them together like a book. Grabbing onto the backs of your thighs, moving the props out of the way, setting them up if you want to take that time. We're working our way into Savasana. So grabbing the backs of your thighs, just take your time to gently roll back. You can slide the legs along. You could maybe bend the knees, having the feet flat on the floor and allowing the knees to knock together up top. Arms fall away from the sides of your body. So beyond the props that are supporting you and kind of holding you in the pose, allowing you to fully nest and release, I want you to try and remove anything else out of the way. So if there's props around you that you're sitting there meditating on your thumb, hitting a book or a water bottle, try to move everything out of the way. You want to find this place within the body where it feels so heavy. It's not just laying on the mat, but imagine it melting beneath the earth. And with this heaviness of body, of flesh and bone, you, the soul, get light as you find this ultimate sense of release or letting go. And it's not that you drift off into some far distant dreamland. Instead, maybe you find this place where you're almost hovering or floating just above your body, looking down on it, acknowledging it, noticing it, but allowing yourself to become detached, a step removed. Giving the body and the mind that opportunity to relax, rejuvenate down to the cellular level. But also, more importantly, giving yourself, the soul, the opportunity to do the same. So this is it. Let go. And quite simply, just let yourself be. So yoga, beyond the practice of asana, or the poses, and manipulating the body in certain ways, is really a scientific process of finding universal truths. When I say scientific, I do not mean the crazy people in Scientology. Scientific in the sense, like in Western science which means knowledge, there's kind of a step-by-step process that we have to take. And for something to become a scientific truth or fact, it has to be proven so time and time and time again. And if one time the outcome is different or proves this fact or truth to be void, then that no longer becomes a truth, right? It falls back into being scientific theory. And so yoga deals with all sorts of both material universal truths and spiritual universal truths. And the first step within yoga is self-realization, or this understanding that we're not the body, we're not the mind, that in fact we are the Jiva Atma, or the eternal spiritual being that temporarily dwells within the body and the mind. And so people sometimes ask how this is a scientific truth. But we actually have Western doctors now that have done near-death experience studies, or even searching out people who say they remember their past lives and actually do it like a scientific study. They sit and interview someone and then go back and fact check, going to the place they say the person says that they're actually from, finding the family they say that they actually belong to, so on and so forth. So we now have Western science proving these deep and very long believed spiritual truths. But if you can understand that you're the eternal being within this body, an eternal meaning that there is no birth or death, you have no beginning, no end, then you can understand that the material truth of having to take birth, experiencing disease of some sort, aging, and then ultimately experiencing death, these are all foreign to who you are, eternally speaking. And yoga, within yoga, it is stated that they're actually there as God's mercy because they're uncomfortable to who we naturally are. They're meant to kind of jar us awake so that we can begin our spiritual quest and understanding who we are beyond the body and the mind. Finding our natural but dormant loving relationship each and every one of us has with God. So today, I'm going to offer you the benefit of really laying in Savasana for however long you would like. If you have to get up and out of it, do so slowly like you would at the end of any class with the teacher guiding you out. Don't rush it. But also know that these scientific or universal truths are really meant to be thought about, sought after, and worked on beyond the rubber mat. So something to take with you and think about and work with. Until next time, namaste. And just a gentle reminder that these classes are donation-based. Donations are never expected, but always appreciated. So if you'd like to make a donation, you can head over to Venmo and donate at yoga-salt. And that's all I got. Until next time, namaste. Thank you. So necessary.